Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts that get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We are live on a Thursday. Lots and lots of things happening, but at least I've got a great guest lineup here for you tonight. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching and listening. Thanks for making us a part of your lovely evening here in Denver, Colorado. We are live all over the place. Roku, iHeartRadio, and all social media platforms known to man for you to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep you up to date on future and past episodes. I've got a fun one tonight. Yesterday was great. 3 interviews last night, and now I am ready for more because why? We got a great one here for you. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Frank the Tank Fleming here with us. And also we've got Alberto Antonetti because, man, the Falcons are literally surprising me here tonight. So from 95 North, Falcons Talk here is going to be joining us as well. Just interesting stuff, though. But I do want to touch upon this that so the Falcons, we know they ended up getting Matt Judon yesterday, and they were not quite done yet. Now they got Justin Simmons. What I've been telling a lot of people is that the Atlanta Falcons are not a team to really mess around with the NFC North. And not to mention, they want to compete with the Rams, with the Niners, with everybody in the NFC. And the Falcons, I mean, this solidified everything. Because what I've been telling people is that don't misconstrue the idea that because they took Michael Penix at pick number 8 in the draft, that they were not going to address this one way or another. I mean, if you think about it, next year's draft class, it's all defense from here. So at this point, they go get the quarterback of the future. Yes, you get a fully guaranteed money to Kirk Cousins. But at the same time, what could happen with Kirk Cousins after he comes off that Achilles injury? We will never know. But again, you have a quarterback of the future. I think he's NFL ready after what I've seen from the preseason this past week. I mean, that throw when he was just contested and just under duress and still able to make it accurately was like, that is one throw out of all the rookie quarterbacks that I said was so NFL like caliber, just impressive. But now everybody was talking about, because I had thought the same thing in the draft, was I thought they were going to end up getting an edge rusher, either Jared Verse or they would get Dallas Turner. That was not the case, but they made up for it getting Matt Judon for a 3rd rounder. So that only means that at Matt Judon's age right now, you're only getting at least a couple years. This next year draft, it's full of defense. You could get another edge rusher up and in the draft, even if you were in the middle of the pack of the draft. So there's lots of possibilities. I'm starting to see what Terry Fontenot's plan is really looking like. And I think it's legit. And the fact that you're pairing up Justin Simmons with Jesse Bates, who was arguably one of the best free agent signings last year, and going into a year where now you have the same coach who's been in this building now as the head coach, and you've got a very good, clever offensive coordinator in Zach Robinson to man this offense so everybody's fed, and a defense that was much better improved last year and is only going to get better. What are these dirty birds doing? They are surprising me in every single way. So I'm excited. And again, I think Atlanta, this just proved to you they are capable of one extra win. Because I had this team kind of potentially going 10, 11 wins because based upon the schedule. They now look like they're going to win 12 after this. And you got to think about it. This schedule, and what a lot of people realize is that when teams, they don't quite favor out. They usually are in the middle of the pack, or it gets a little easier with their schedule set. So I am excited for what the Falcons will look like. I think the South, this is basically crowning them right now, because the Saints, when you've got Dennis Allen winning 35% of his games, not good enough. I don't think he's going to end up lasting this long. You got the Buccaneers, division champions last year, but they got rid of a lot of defensive pieces. They're only getting younger. I think that's the only competition you got. And my NFC best worst team would be the Carolina Panthers. Upgraded on offense. You now have a head coach as a quarterback whisperer that is only going to make Bryce Young better. But this Falcons group, it ain't even just about this year trying to get into the playoffs and be a playoff threat. It's about being that kind of team for the next 5 years ahead. So this literally stamped everything of what Terry Fontenot was trying to explain, especially when you saw the video clip in the draft, when he was talking to Arthur Blank about this plan, about what they're trying to do. Now, we as football fans who cannot wait for when week 1 kicks off, we could see how this entire plan now comes into fruition. I'm excited for the Falcons. But like I said, I had my call, hold, fold. As someone that is born and raised in Vegas, loved the tables, I called up on the Falcons. They were going to end up getting more wins than what they were projected. And I think it's much more believable than you think. All right. So you guys have all seen him and his amazing journey road that he has currently. But we've all seen him with being a diehard Mets fan, also loving the Dolphins, and we got to explain about that Tua contract, because that's going to be interesting. But then, of course, we also see him as a diehard New Jersey Devils fan. But nonetheless, a great personality, and a guy that I like I said, I am all for his journey road. Love all of his content he's brought out with the people that he has connected with. Take a walk, take a journey road, but none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Frank the Tank Fleming is joining us here on the show. I got to say, Frank, thank you so much for taking the time, man, and just the amazing journey road that you're doing now with taking a walk with Frank and all the rest of it. Can you break it down for our audience? I think it's an amazing journey road. And what was it going into it as far as the start of the goal and bringing in a lot of great people along with you on your journey ride, and where it's going to be going on from here in the near future?
Well, we got, it started basically that I would start walking every day. And we got contacted by J.J. Watt, who was the one that basically helped us start it. He was the first person I walked with. And then they started, and it led to Mike Francesa afterwards, Dave Portnoy, of course. And then we started getting Scott Van Pelt, and it just snowballed. And that was season 1. And we're getting ready to do season 2. We've already got a walk with Marcus Freeman, Alec Ingold, and the Miami Dolphins. We got some other walks that are scheduled and that we're going to be doing in the next few days. So stay tuned to that.
Oh
and
man.
we're already starting to work for season 2.
Wow. It's so fun though, man, and it really, really is. What a great experience. And I didn't even realize, I mean, I live in Colorado. I didn't even realize you were going to be there here in Colorado in the Rockies game. I mean, that was also one of the best experiences as well. Um, as me as a baseball guy, I mean, I absolutely love baseball. And at the time, postseason baseball coming up around the corner, you have been the voice and you have been the great personality of the New York Mets. I've been in New York at least 6 times in my life. And when I tell you, I mean, it's a totally different culture. It's a totally different, environment. But I say New York media is very, very strong when it comes to a lot of their sport teams. So, with what I've seen with the Mets, it was a rocky start to begin with. Then all of a sudden, and I'm a big believer in baseball superstition. By the time that, Grimace throws out the first pitch, this team ends up catching fire. Now, we know there's a lot that's on the expectation road right now for the Mets getting into the postseason, potentially win postseason games. I mean, how have you really broken down this Mets team? Because the one signing I really liked,
it was just a flash in the pan, and they're now back to normal. They're done, completely done.
Man, I mean, the one signing that I really liked was the JD Martinez, and my opinion on it was he's a guy that I felt could serve as a battery in a lineup, especially when you got Frankie Lindor, you got Pete Alonso. You got to get these guys going. And it's it'll be interesting to see how the NL East, the way.
Well, Alonso only hits when there's no pressure. Mm-hmm. Lindor has been okay. Nimmo's completely gone off the rails.
Yeah.
Alvarez hasn't done shit lately. And it's been a disaster. They blew a 5-0 lead to the A's, lost 2 out of 3 to the A's. Mm-hmm. Jose Quintana went in there, a 4-hour baseball game. And the best pitcher on the mound for the Mets today was Hawk Tua.
Oh, man. Yeah, I tell you, though, I mean.
Yeah, you want to talk about the Mets? You want to talk about what type of, okay. And they won't let me throw out the first pitch, but they brought in Hawk Tua. And
that's where I was like, wow. Like
that. And do you know what Thursday afternoon games are for the Mets in the summer?
Mm-hmm.
Day camps.
Oh, wow.
So all throughout that stadium. Hey, teacher. Hey, counselor. Hey, dad. What does she do?
Man. Yeah, I can't even believe how big of just an internet sensation she's been. But yeah, honestly, they should have gotten this right. But I will tell you though, I mean,
you okay? I have no problem with them bringing her out to throw out the first pitch.
Yeah,
but you probably should throw out the first pitch on a Monday night.
Yeah,
or a Tuesday night, or a day where there's probably not more kids in the park than there usually is.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So I got to tell you, I mean,
they don't want me to throw out the first pitch.
Yeah, I mean, so I got to tell you, at least with the teams that have gotten the opportunity for you to throw the first pitch. I mean, the Rockies, the Brewers, Cleveland Guardians. I mean, what's that experience been like, being there up on these professional fields? Because I've only been on Yankee Stadium, the original, when I was 13, only once. And I was just feeling the energy and the history of that ballpark with all these players I've watched in the past. And, to be on that field, I mean, being on a professional field, it's gorgeous. You just take in all the energy. I mean, what was that like for you, to throwing out the first pitch and just being there with the entirety of the fans there?
Well, it's always a nice experience. I've done it now 4 times. The Brewers, the Diamondbacks, the Guardians, and the Rockies. I like the Brewers experience. That was a good one. The Brewers, good tour of the ballpark. Diamondbacks also, I got a chance to stick my toe in the pool at the Diamondbacks game, which is always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland, their stadium's getting a little worked on, but they did a good job. And of course, the Rockies, they took me into the scoreboard. I walked around the bullpen in that little forest they have behind home plate. So they've all been great.
Yeah. I mean, I know a couple really good people that are close by in like the Rockies organization, and even with just Colorado sports in general. They have been very generous. I mean, they keep it classy, and it's great, especially like in a fan base that, like, when I last went to Coors Field watching the Dodgers, I was very like surprised of just like how great the fan base itself has been. So generous. You come out, you watch a baseball game, in beautiful weather. Like, it's the most amazing thing.
The thing that disappointed me about the game was it was a little storm front went through, caused the briefest of rain delay I ever seen. They didn't even cover the field. They basically took the players off the field for 10 minutes, waited for the storm to pass, and then put the drying agent down.
Yeah. They go through something that I'm like, oh man, like.
Basically, they said that they knew the storm would pass, and by the time you got the turn around the field, that it would be passed.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Colorado weather. And living here, it's like it starts for a small bit, and then all of a sudden it passes on by. I remember being up in Folsom Field for a concert where the Colorado Buffaloes play at, and they put a whole like shelter in place thing. And then all of a sudden, when the rain goes away, it's like, what are we really doing? Like, it's been comical for me, honestly.
Yeah, like I said, the one disappointment I had was I didn't get to see one of those great rocky sunsets.
Oh, yes. Oh, man. They are the most amazing thing. It's the most amazing sight there at Coors Field. So I do want to shift to this with the fact that we've got preseason week 2 this week, and we're getting closer to the NFL season, which I'm really excited about. I know with you, diehard Dolphins, I've been critical, but more reasonable because of the fact that this is the year that the Dolphins really got to end up playing to the expectation. I mean, now Tua's
no.
Like, yeah.
They cannot have a season where they don't win a playoff game. That can't happen. Last year we could take into account that the injuries derailed the season. Mm-hmm. That basically they were down to 4 starters on defense for the playoff game, and even that Bill game. That Waddle wasn't healthy for the Bill game. Mostert wasn't healthy for the Bills game. They didn't play that game. They were both not healthy for the playoffs. Line was banged up a little bit. No, there's no excuse. They got to get at least one playoff win.
Oh, 100%. And so when evaluating Tua, my only takeaway was when he got the contract, I was just like, okay, if something were to happen with Tua, at least he does have the guarantee where it kind of is that safety net. But it seems to me Mike McDaniel obviously trusts him, and the offense has been shaped up around with the amount of speed and the guys on the offense that are capable of scoring more than 25 points a game. So when you think of Tua, I mean, this has to be the important season for him to prove to everybody he's capable of getting over that hump that a lot of the media seems to put him in.
Yeah, well, I mean, he went to sub-30 temperatures with a banged-up team, so I think it's unfair to really blame him for last year. But now he's got to do it. There's no more excuses. I think he's now got the contract. He's got to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting too because the fact that the defense now looks a lot different. I mean, losing Christian Wilkins, yes, it was a stinger, but I mean, you add in Jordan Poyer on the secondary. So I think this defense with Anthony Weaver's schematic and his philosophy, this could definitely be a team that could be tough, especially when it comes to the battle of the trenches type games, right?
They just got to keep Tua upright and create holes.
Yeah.
So Devon Achane and Mostert could find them, and try not to be too fancy and just score.
Yep.
The Dolphins have speed and capability of scoring 30 points a game. They just got to hold everyone under 20.
Yep, 100%. I mean, that's what makes like the quality caliber teams, especially when you want to be a threat in the playoffs. I know like them punching their ticket and the way the outcome was not something that, Dolphins fans wanted, but they got in there. Now it's time to take it seriously, and at this point become a reckoning force that opposing teams do not even want to end up messing and toying around with.
Yeah.
I do got to ask though, because as myself, I love hockey, and I was absolutely excited as for somebody that was born and raised in Las Vegas. And when the Golden Knights broke ground, like I absolutely love the energy, love the atmosphere. And I do believe that like certain fan bases compared to other major sports, it's different. Like I never go a dull moment at all, like in any of these arenas. So even being
let's look at the four major sports. Baseball is about pitcher versus batter, chess match. There might be players running all the time. NBA, it's about alternating possessions back and forth. You can have a steal here and there. Football is about marching down the field, orderly formations. Hockey, it's just pure chaos.
Oh, yeah.
So a stick can get shifted here, banged here, and all of a sudden it's going the next way. And then it goes back and forth. It's just like zing, 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 all the while players are coming on and off the ice for changes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's like people are trying to, keep track of the puck. And it's like it's hard. It's so fast that it's like you can't blink. So when thinking about it with the New Jersey Devils, I mean, this team, when I've seen them like 2 years ago, I mean, they put together a very good squad. This upcoming season is very, very important for them as well. With the fact that one, having a healthy Jack Hughes really does end up helping a lot of this offense and more pieces. How do you really preview it?
It's the Jack Hughes stays healthy, the Devils have a chance. Mm-hmm. If he misses his bunch of games again, the Devils are in trouble. Also, they're going to benefit from the return of Dougie Hamilton. They signed Pesce to save strength of defense. They've improved the goaltending. So they've made a lot of moves this year to get tougher, improve defense, and improve goaltending. And now it's Jack Hughes has to stay healthy, and so does Dougie Hamilton. They missed him a lot too last year. He didn't play. He said he has suffered a shoulder injury and missed most of the season, like 2/3 of the season he missed.
Yeah, I mean, that defense, you could tell that identity changed the second that he was off the ice, and it was like they certainly needed some sort of juice and firepower to at least keep them very much.
Yeah, and keep that in mind that he also had two rookies on defense last year. Both of them are kind of those middle defenders, the offensive defenders. Mm-hmm. So they need to get some more tougher defensive defenders.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and usually, and sometimes that is important. I mean, yeah, it's good to have offensive guys, but when you have to be in shutdown mode, even when it's a 1-goal game, you got to be able to like shut it down, be a wall, and have support, especially for your goaltending. I mean,
there were a lot of times when it came time for pushing the net there, and there was nobody to stop that the opposing team from pounding home that rebound.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've got very good hopes for the New Jersey Devils this year. I just think it's going to be an interesting season. The fact that we've had a ton of moves, and with the amount of the payout from a lot of these contracts this year was unbelievable. So this is going to be quite an interesting season. Cannot wait for it when puck drop ends up happening for the official season. I'm just, I mean, I still rep the Vegas Golden Knights no matter what. It's been my team since day one. But to be there in the on opposing side when I'm out here in Colorado in Ball Arena, I mean, the energy and the vibe is totally different from there. So I try to stand my ground as much as I possibly can. But in the end, it's all fun and it's all hockey. That's what's the fun part. But appreciate you taking the time and coming up on here, Frank. Who are we going to be expecting to walk with you next at some point? You got a whole lineup in the next.
I'm cooking, so just stay tuned.
Oh man, hey, I will tell you this from somebody that absolutely loves sports, but at the same time love a lot of like amazing stories, man. I'd love to take a walk with you one of these days, man. Like I said, you ever up in Colorado? Love to get a chance to really pick your brain and really just have a great time.
All right, next time.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I like I said, I think what you're doing is amazing. And, I wish you absolutely the best up on it, man. Keep doing what you're doing and love the content that you're bringing on a daily basis, man. Appreciate you coming on by. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of the week. Who knows what we're going to see with these Mets, man. But,
No, it's over.
Yeah.
There was a nail in the coffin.
Yeah, and then we got the Dolphins right up around the corner. I'm excited for NFL season, man. So a lot is really gearing up. But take care of yourself, man. Appreciate you coming on by.
Guys, I'll see you next time.
Absolutely. There you go. Frank the Tank, man. Absolutely love it. And like I said, I love the Journey Road. I love exactly everything, like just about it, because it's so authentic. But man, I mean, it took a lot. I'm very, very glad he was able to take the time coming up on here. Love his stuff. So we're going to shift gears. And of course, like I said, talking about the Dirty Birds earlier and really, really getting an expertise insight. Last time, I had a couple of very, very insightful guys. Aaron Freeman at one point with Locked on Falcons. He was great. Even when I had Big Low Country as well, the coach, talking a lot about the Atlanta Falcons. So joining us on the 95 North Falcons Talk is a guy that I really am curious how he looks at this season. My good friend, Alberto Angonetti, joined. All right, man. Well, it's like it just gets better and better. So first off, like it threw everybody off their game when it came to the Michael Penix pick. And then all of a sudden, they trade for Matt Judon for a third rounder. And then they sign Justin Simmons to pair up with Jesse Bates. This has to be like the sole blueprint that Terry Fontenot's putting together, that this is not a team just being this year. This is a long track record for this Falcons team to really build upon success. How impressive you been with this in the last couple hours now?
Man, it's been a crazy 24 hours, to say the least, for Atlanta Falcons fandom, man. Something that we haven't been a part of in quite some time. And Terry Fontenot and company, man, they're doing a fantastic job, really steering the ship for this organization and trending it the right way. So many years we've been in the dark, man, with prior regimes, but Terry came in, cooked everything up. He's finishing up things really nice. It started with Kirk Cousins and his acquisition in free agency back in March. That was one of the things that Coach Raheem Morris was on the podium in February stating at the Combine. I wouldn't be here addressing quarterback if we didn't need one. And what Coach Raheem was also talking about was a succession plan that Atlanta needed back in his time with the Falcons in 2021. Now, fast forward 2024, he has the honor and the privilege to go ahead and lead these Falcons. Same speech. What is the succession plan? For so many years, as we all know, Matt Ryan was the guy under center and really nothing behind him to kind of catapult the next guy to say, okay, he's next. Coach Raheem identified that as target number one, weakness number one. We have to rectify that right away. So insert Kirk Cousins, and then the Michael Penix pick. You know, everybody says, yeah, you guys are stealing a book from the Green Bay Packers playbook. You know, stashing a talented quarterback like Michael Penix, who I felt by far was the most talented quarterback in this year's draft. To me, QB number one, and I'm glad that the Falcons were able to get him because now that's your quarterback for the future. So you essentially just 180 the room in just a short amount of time. So Terry Fontenot and company, man, it's been a work in progress, and I'm glad that everything is coming to fruition. You mentioned the Matt Judon trade. I think that really elevated and got going right away after Friday night's loss of Braylon Trice, our promising third round pick in this year's draft out of Washington, a pass rusher in his own right. He went down with a torn ACL, and it was time because, to be honest, as a Falcon fan, that room wasn't all too inspiring, man. Arnold Ebiketie, a former second round pick, really hasn't lived up to the expectations as most fans figured he would. He would coming out of Penn State. So you insert a guy like Matt Judon, who is a proven commodity in this NFL, 66 and a half career sacks. He was well on the way to breaking his own sack total last year with the Pats, if not for that triceps injury. 4 sacks in 4 games. Just a year prior, 15 and a half sacks. So we get a proven edge rusher since the days of John Abraham, and that is fantastic to wake up and feel like, wow, we got a proven guy opposite side. Now, Arnold Ebiketie, who, let's be honest, with the presence of Matt Judon, could light the fire under Ebiketie's ass to get it going and start showing that second round worth, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And it like I said, I mean, even piggybacking from what it was last year, I mean, the fact that just Arthur Smith and the way that he was really trying to run this Falcons group was just not great. And at the same time, you saw how marginalized they were at quarterback. And so out goes Arthur Smith. He goes to Pittsburgh as an offensive coordinator. In comes a familiar face, Raheem Morris, and he brings in his right-hand man, Zach Robinson. I like Zach Robinson for a few reasons because as a former quarterback that we watch in college, and as somebody that as the next offensive successor, I mean, I trust Sean McVay's tree very much because these are guys that are offensive innovators. And I think with Zach Robinson and what he's going to turn this offense into, you're going to get the best out of Bijan Robinson. Kyle Pitts is finally going to hit his potential. And then, of course, I mean, unfortunately with Rondale Moore, it was a heart injury nonetheless, but I still got Darnell Mooney. I've got Drake London. I mean, going into this with this coaching hire, this is something like I've always talked about. If you got a coach with a culture build, I mean, this is what is going to change the narrative because this is a team that's been moving past, the Matt Ryan era, and now we're kind of coming into a new breed of Falcons football. And how do you kind of see this playing out?
So, like you mentioned, out with the Arthur Smith, in with the Zach Robinson. So, with the Arthur Smith situation, all formations were in like clusters, right? Everything was too right heavy, too left heavy, too many receivers on one side. With Zach Robinson, what we're gonna get now is spread. Utilize these guys' strengths and their physicality at the positions to really make the most out of the opportunity. Drake London has been hindered by quarterback play the last 2 years, but he was still productive. Albeit the touchdown ratios aren't what we want them to be, but the catches, the yards, they're there. Now you insert a guy like Kirk Cousins, who is an elite processor, and that's one of the things that Coach Raheem wanted and his next quarterback was to be an elite processor, can survey the field and really make the right decisions on the field. A guy like Drake London is going to benefit. Darnell Mooney, as you mentioned, that's a guy that a lot of people sleep on. This was a former 1,000-yard receiver just as little as 2021, just a few years ago. But that's another guy that's been plagued by some bad quarterback play with the Chicago Bears. The Rondale Moore situation, yes, it sucks. I feel bad for the young man. He was having a great camp, but there's an emergence, so to say, coming up for that third wide receiver spot in Casey Washington, a wide receiver out of Illinois, drafted in the 6th round. The kid has potential. I love his upside. He's He's your prototypical possession receiver, and he has a little kick to him. So I expect big things out of him. Ray McLeod, not really mentioned, really, seldom used with the San Francisco 49ers, but is a guy that could take the top off of defense, and you can implement that speed, that 4-3 speed in the middle, in the slot, and it just opens up everything for the guy you just mentioned that we're all hoping can write his career in Kyle Pitts, man. Kyle Pitts, of course, drafted 4th overall in 2021, hasn't lived up to the hype, so to say, but the quarterback play hasn't been inspiring neither. You look at what Kirk Cousins was able to do with TJ Hawkinson last year, over 126 targets. Now we all know that some of those targets were available because of Justin Jefferson not being available for most of the season, but it's a security blanket, and that's what Kirk Cousins likes, is the tight end. And in a way that you can maybe say this or spin it, I will take Kyle Pitts' athleticism over TJ Hawkinson, 9 times out of 10. So I'm expecting this to be, it's funny to say, but Kyle Pitts is welcome to the NFL, or his breakout season, to say the least, man. So I'm excited. I'm excited with what Zach Robinson can bring, what innovation he can bring into this offense. He does come from that Sean McVay tree. He's been an understudy to Sean McVay, so he knows how to utilize, the height, the speed, the physicality at the position. So I'm beyond myself. I'm just ready for week 1, man. I wish it was tomorrow.
Oh, I know, man. The NFL season, this is why the NFL is just so king for it, because it just gives us content every single day to really just talk about, and so I cannot wait until that first official kickoff starts up, because myself being a betting man, and especially with our good partners at BetUS, I've got a lot of things cooking, man. So I'm excited for it this year. So Kirk Cousins comes in, and my takeaway with it is they've clearly upgraded a quarterback than what they've had in the last few years that had not panned out. So Kirk comes in. It's a totally different look now. And as somebody who distributes the football very, very well, how do you really preview Kirk Cousins, coming into this, knowing, well, he's coming back from an Achilles injury, which is everybody's concern, because the next thing I'm going to get into is, of course, our rookie. But to focusing up on him, how do you really just kind of see this season play out with him? Is this something, because it's him and Aaron Rodgers, I'm really keeping an eye on with that Achilles, because it's not fun when you have to, recover it very slowly, especially when you're getting up in age. That's something that's really worth interesting kind of looking at this year, right?
Yeah, and a fun aspect to look at. Both candidates are going to be strong candidates for comeback player of the year, both suffering the same injury and Achilles tear. But the thing with Kirk Cousins is, and I think the reason why the Falcons targeted Kirk Cousins was when the arrival of Raheem and Zach came in, Zach is bringing or instilling a formations or an offense that's kind of similar to what Kevin O'Connell runs now with the Minnesota Vikings. So the verbiage, the formations, and things of that nature is right up Kirk's alley, and he knows it very well. So I think it will be a seamless transition. He does have in front of him, thank God, a top 10 rated per PFF offensive line. So that's also key. We got some hogs in there. We have an all-pro in Chris Lindstrom. We have an up-and-coming Matt Bergeron at left guard that we drafted some years ago, and he had an excellent rookie campaign. We have the Iron Man, as we call him around in Atlanta, and Jake Matthews, and of course Caleb McGarry. So there's a lot of good things in place for Atlanta now, and as mentioning with the offense, I think it's an offense that's not too complicated for Kirk to run. That's why when we see him in practice, or we see some tidbits from some of the other creators that are around Flowery Branch that are allow us to see it, he has such a command of the offense. He knows where everybody is and where he expects everybody to be at their spot. So for those reasons, I feel like Kirk can just really pick up kind of where he left off last year. When where he left off was he was tearing up the NFL, man. So his touchdown to interception ratio was phenomenal. He already had, I believe, close to 3,000 yards passed before he went down. So I expect Kirk Cousins to really just pick up where he left off last year, man.
Absolutely. And it gets into my conversation now with the Michael Penix pick, because ultimately Terry Fontenot's plan is that, yes, we have the quarterback for the now, but we have the quarterback for the future. And I will tell you this, Berto, is that like watching his play style in Washington, that is the most NFL ready quarterback that I think I'd seen, especially for a lefty. So when I
Yeah.
watch him in the preseason game, my takeaway was that play that he had where the defensive front was literally getting pushed against him. Most of the time, rookie quarterbacks, they do a couple of things. They either run out to create space, like a Bo Nix, or they get frantic, a little bit like a Drake May in a couple of them. I didn't get either. I got a guy that was strong in the pocket, even if that defense is getting in his face, and he still threw an accurate bullet to his target. I mean, that's got to make you think, damn, that is like one that you don't see a ton like in the league. So how do you really break this down with Michael Penix? Because in the end, I've said it, it's Michael Vick 2.0, but I think he's got a stronger pocket presence, and he definitely throws an accurate arm there.
He definitely does. And like you just mentioned, with the pocket just really collapsing around him. The word in Atlanta was, when used in that moment for that play, was poised and confident, was the two words that were being used when breaking down that play. And exactly that, he showed the poise and confidence. He didn't panic. He didn't roll out. He didn't scramble, make a possible doable situation to a shitty one, man. He stood there 10 toes down and delivered that pass to Chris Blair, an accurate one at that, up the sideline. So for me, it's like, wow, man, I can't wait to see this with the ones. But realistically, we know that that's probably not where we're going to go with Michael Penix right now. But you talk about a guy that, has been successful in the college ranks, back-to-back 4,500 plus yard throwing season for the Huskies, and is just really drafting Penix also plays into the scheme that Atlanta is hosting this year. There's similar things that Washington did to what the Rams did to what the Vikings did. So the marriage was just perfect. And it just so happens that the need for the future was there sitting for us, waiting for us at 8. So I'm loving it. So I had no issues. I was shocked like everybody else, but once it all simmered and boiled down, man, I was like, okay, this makes sense. And I know why. So yeah, man, I'm excited for the young man. I really can't wait to see what he does this weekend against the Baltimore Ravens. A defense that it doesn't matter if it's preseason or the regular season. It's just a tough ass defense from starters to reserves. So I'm excited to see what he can do in week 2. Week 1, obviously against the Dolphins, 9 for 16 for 104 yards. You saw some of the jitters, and some of the balls were a little bit here, there, and everywhere, but I'm not too worried about that. The Falcons have a great coaching staff now with TJ Yates as the quarterback coach that can really just calm him down and just really settle him down and be in his ear on a constant basis. Okay, this is what you want to do. This is the read that you're looking for. Those are things that weren't available in Atlanta for the last 2 years. A, the quarterback, B, the coaching aspect for these QBs also.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I can only tell you, and I'm sure you probably would agree or disagree, but if we could get receivers that could literally hold the ball on every time, that was liked. And I'm like, oh, God.
Chris Blair, unfortunately, man, he fumbled on a great pass from Penix, but he did fumble. Former Falcon Duke Riley forced the fumble, so I'm like, oh my God, this guy made him fumble. Come on, man. Out of all people, man.
Oh man, and like I said, I try to break it down as much as I can. As America's honesty mind, I'm honest with every team and in every division, because you kind of got to be. When you lay context down, it's what makes things so much more simplified. So when I look at the NFC South, this was my takeaway. The Falcons obviously are going to be the team pushing for that division, knowing well that what last year gave us, because at first I thought the Saints were going to walk away with it because you got Derek Carr. He's got a top 15 defense. Now that wasn't the case. He missed out on that. And then Baker Mayfield comes in, which I thought was a great comeback story. Defensive coach. You got a wide receiver who in the past was used to guys his size throwing it to him, from Johnny Manziel in Texas A&M. And then, you got the Panthers that I'm hoping Bryce Young was better than the outcome last year. So looking at it, The Falcons, I believe their competition. I believe Tampa is going to be an interesting team to watch with that. Getting rid of a couple of their defensive pieces and going younger. The Saints, I can't feel that confident knowing I have a head coach winning 35% of his games. I can't. And then the Panthers, they've upgraded some offensive weapons. Dave Canales, a quarterback whisperer, hoping to get the best of success for Bryce Young. How do you really in the best perspective you have? How you really break down this NFC South and what we should expect this upcoming season? Because I think this is an interesting one. Nobody should really just be kind of turning their heads away on this one this year.
Yeah, so traditionally the NFC South, when those games are paired up and the matchup is had, traditionally tough matchups, right? So I wouldn't look to see, significant blowouts regardless of the teams that are playing. It's by far a tough division in a whole. But the Falcons right now stand above the rest, right? You mentioned some of the great things. You mentioned the Kirk Cousins situation. The team, the Atlanta Falcons from now, the roster from top to bottom is probably the most gifted and the most talented in that entire division. I worry about the Saints, like you said. Dennis Allen, I think he makes a better coordinator than he does a head coach.
Yep.
I think they're over their heads a little bit with this season. We can really start to see probably the imminent decline of Derek Carr if we didn't already start witnessing that last year. I know they have some fun pieces and some of the skill positions at the wideout position and stuff. I don't think it's going to be enough really to stand toe to toe with a team like the Falcons. I'm just going to put my team out there. Defensively, also for the Saints, they're older. They're a whole lot older. Cam Jordan is a shell of himself. Demario Davis, he's not going to be as effective as he has been. Yeah, Pete Warner is a nice little linebacker right opposite side of him, but you look at the backfield, I kid around with some of the Saints people, they call him the honey badger. I said, he's more like the honey bun, man, because he's a shell of himself. I mean, he can have great safety play in this division last year because the quarterback play was terrible. And so any safety, any defensive back is going to relish in those opportunities. It's a different script this year, a totally different script. We talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, that I think that Tampa Bay losing Dave Canales is going to be it's going to be a wake-up call. I really do. I think he's the guy that really steered Baker's resurgence in his career, so to say. He was posting up fantastic numbers. We all know, Mike Evans is a Hall of Fame wide receiver, bar none. The guy has been the model of consistency for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the better part of 10 plus years. Chris Godwin is a good one too, wide receiver. But in comes Liam Cohen, an offensive coordinator that has some ties to, the McVay situation in that tree. I just don't think they'll do enough, and I don't think that Liam Cohen can really get Baker going the way that Canales did. Now, we mentioned Canales. Obviously, he's now with the Carolina Panthers. That's a project in itself, man. I know most Carolina fans are probably punching air for taking Bryce Young. They should have took C.J. Stroud in that draft, respectfully. We all see what C.J. Stroud is doing, and we all seen what Bryce Young is doing, which is really not much. The hype and all of that play a factor into it. He had a decent career at Alabama. I just think it's a project itself, man, overall for the Carolina Panthers to be competitive in this year. I just don't really see a lot coming from them neither, man. So I firmly believe that this is the Falcons division to take this year, man. We've upgraded way too much, and everything is in front of us. So for those reasons, man, I think it's the Falcons division.
And especially, too, picking up to where the defense last year was the most improved in the league, and especially when you get a defensive-minded coach and Raheem Morris, who is very much a player-type coach. Players are invested, and you got to love that, because when you go into a locker room and you're ready for every single game day on Sunday, you got to have the energy. You got to have the vibe in the room under control, and that's exactly what he is. Positive things I've heard from him, especially with players that love to play for a guy that's invested in them to get the best of their potential. So, I think this season for the Atlanta Falcons, it's going to be fun. But a question to ask you before letting you go, I asked this with every one of them covering the teams. because I'm digesting this stuff, man. I'm getting every NFL content possible before that kickoff starts. How would you break down the Falcons season and their record? Because ultimately, this is what I said. They are capable of one more win on that schedule now. Having these guys that they picked up to improve in that defense, where do you see them, and what's the record this year?
Before the moves, I would have said this is probably a 9-win team. I honestly, before the Judon, the Simmons pickup, I would have said it would have probably been like 9 or 10 win team. Now with the additions, brother, I'm shooting for the ceiling. I'm shooting for the moons, man. For me, I feel like it's Super Bowl or bust, but that's just the inner fan in me. So I clearly see the Falcons as a 12+ win team this year, and for the reasons are, of course, anytime you can pick up a decorated Pro Bowl player like Justin Simmons, just an eraser in the secondary. And oh, by the way, we have Jesse Bates, who was by far the best safety last year. You bring that element that's gonna be now in this backfield to a secondary that ranked 8th last year under Jerry Gray, and of revolving doors that we had at cornerback number 2 with Jeff Okudah and Clark Phillips. You add a guy like Justin Simmons to pair with Jesse Bates. You got eliminators on that top half of the defense. You got AJ Terrell, of course, on the other side, manning that down. Insert Matt Judon, a guy that's done it all. Well, he hasn't done it all yet, but he does have he has done a lot in the league. 66.5 career sacks, man. And like I mentioned, well on his way to just put in phenomenal numbers last year before the injury. This is a defense last year that ranked 11. And we had injuries. We had a first-year coordinator in Ryan Nielsen who left with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this Falcons defense is going to be something to be reckoned with this year, man. And it's the reason why I feel like this Falcons team now, because of the moves, are a 12+ win team coming up in 2024, man.
Man, it's going to be interesting. I agree with you, too. I feel like this is a team that is capable of winning 12 games or more, and especially with just looking at that schedule, the matchups, and just where they're sitting at each week. I mean, that NFC, I've been saying it's finally revamping to where quarterback play is getting much better. It's not quite to the expectation like the AFC, but I got a bunch of really good competition this upcoming season, so I'm excited for it as a whole. Berto, appreciate you coming up onto the show. Where can people find you getting in-depth analysis for the Dirty Birds and what we should expect this upcoming season?
Yeah, first, man, I appreciate you, inviting me to the platform, man. I really appreciate your work, man. So please continue grinding and putting out this great content, man. So salute to you, Jake. My name is Berto, your host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show on YouTube. I'm also at Bleacher Report content creator for these same Atlanta Falcons. You can also find me on Bleacher Report, and you can find me on Twitter under RI Falcons. That's another platform that I, talk to everyday faithfuls about this great Atlanta Falcons team.
Absolutely, man. I mean, like I said, this whole week has been fantastic. Getting Frank the Tank up on here earlier, and then awesome. Such good moments, man.
Yeah, man, I'm happy for you. And salute to Frank the Tank, man. Very inspirational guy in his own right, man, with everything he has going on. So salute to him. I was backstage listening to him, and yeah, man. I know that he's a Mets fan. I would have loved to chime in because I'm a Braves fan. I would have.
Man, that East is cooking.
Oh, bro, man. Yeah. Whoo, boy. But
back and forth. Now you got to end up poking a lot of those Philly fans because I don't know what seems to be going on with them these days.
No, I don't know, man. It's not much better in Hotlanta either with the Braves. So, hey, it is what it is, though.
Yeah, it's like something has to eventually give.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
Yeah. Oh, man. Berto, appreciate you coming on by. Enjoy the rest of the week, man. We are so close to the NFL season. Cannot wait for kickoff. Let's get it going. Absolutely loved the insight. Loved the energy you brought in today, man. Appreciate you. Enjoy the week, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man. Have a good one.
You too, man. Like I said, this week has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. But I also do have something amazing here for you guys, of course. For those of you who cannot wait for the NFL season to come any quicker. Well, I'll tell you what. my good folks at BetUS, my good friends there, we are excited for the up-and-coming NFL season. And why? Because there are many ways for you guys to win with multiple contests going on every single day and ensuring every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, we got contests here for you all NFL season. And the NFL season lives here on BetUS. 30 years of NFL play. God, do you love it? Love a lot of the in-depth analysis and also breaking down what we may see this upcoming season. BetUS has you covered in all of that. All the best bet lines when it comes to straight, parlay, leg bets, and more. Also, getting the chance to really win your up-and-coming upright winnings. When you sign up, $50 or more in your deposit. BetUS gives you up to 125% in bonuses with up to $2K in earnings in the 3 times you end up betting, and especially 30 risk-free bets. Multiple contests to go around, not to mention casino play. Check out BetUS for yourself for this up-and-coming NFL season gambling problem. Call your local number in your state. Seek the help and the attention that you need to, and always remember to gamble responsibly when you use BetUS. BetUS, for the NFL season begins.
Listen up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
Snake Sports Talk Show is sponsored by Muscle Tech, with hundreds of supplements and vitamins to choose from, all packed with 100% all-natural proven ingredients. You can be sure that Muscle Tech will give you the edge and the boost to train and look like your fit and healthy best, whatever your goals are. Try Muscle Tech today and use promo code SNAKESPORTS to save 30% off your purchases.
Gosh, the NFL season, I cannot wait for it to start like anytime soon. I'm ready for it this upcoming season. We've had so many storylines this whole the whole previewing of the year, but I do want to get into this. So, living here in Denver, Colorado, I've heard many Bronco fans out here that have had their perspectives on the Broncos the last couple of years and what it had looked like last year with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. So, in his first preseason game, Bo Nix was absolutely just, it's what an NFL quarterback is meant to look like. Bo Nix in the game ended up going 15 of 21, 125 yards, 1 touchdown, in the 34-30 win over the Colts. I mean, I'm looking at Bo Nix right now, and say what you want, because especially when it comes to Oregon quarterbacks, I mean, I love the build. Absolutely love the build. From Marcus Mariota to Justin Herbert and to Bo Nix. You also have to keep in mind, because a lot of people that were talking Bo Nix being a reach for the Denver Broncos, you got to look at how Sean Payton really works this thing. The fact that he had a Drew Brees type quarterback, that when him and Drew, when they were both playing, like when the both of them were together, I mean, this team, the Saints, they had a lot more issues than what they had in the past. And so Bo Nix coming into Denver, I said, was the perfect thing that can happen for a guy like Sean Payton. Because the fact that he gets his quarterback of his stature that he had in the past with Drew Brees. But the difference is you're not getting any kind of hesitation or questions from Bo Nix at all. You are getting straight quarterback play, a guy that is willing to develop in this culture and who's willing to learn and adjust a lot of his skill set. I mean, Bo Nix has been my sleeper in this quarterback draft class because I know what I'm going to get with Caleb Williams and with Jaden Daniels. Drake May, ultimately, you got to have him sit for a year because right now he's just kind of playing a little bit frantic. So, but at the same time, the Patriots understand with where they're going at right now. You're going out with the era you had in the past, and you're coming in with Gerard Mayo as the head coach and what we may expect to see. Because after getting rid of Matt Judon, they get a third-round pick, but I think the Patriots, they could very much push for that number 1 overall pick, but then in the end, they could go and maybe potentially either make a trade, which is what I would do, get more assets in the middle of it, get more capital. But, the Patriots are going to be interesting this season as well. The Falcons with Michael Penix, as we just talked about, I think he's a very NFL-ready quarterback. J.J. McCarthy with the Vikings, but then there is Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I think, in the first 13 games, if he becomes a starter, and it kind of looks like right now with what everything I've seen, it's trending towards that potential possibility. So you got 13 straight weeks of football before week 14. And Bo Nix being ready for that competition, that is going to really surprise some people. So I anticipate this to where the Broncos really, really, really are like the offense, there was nothing wrong with the offense last year. The problem is that their defense had a little bit of some trouble, especially up on that defensive front, because you get Randy Gregory, you get a couple of other players. They did not pan out, and there was also some injuries involved as well. But you go and you upgrade the defense. Offensive line looks solid. Offensive weapons, I've never really had a problem with when it came to Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims and a couple others. So there is some upside there for the Denver Broncos to have an interesting season this year. But I think it's as good as it gets with Bo Nix. But I felt like, from a lot of the rookie quarterbacks that we've seen in preseason, I thought J.J. McCarthy, before he went down with that injury, I thought he looked very impressive. Something that I'm excited for his future when he comes back healthy. Michael Penix, the accurate throw, the poise that he had in the pocket, and the confidence he had in there making those throws makes me believe that he is destined for greatness. Then there's Caleb Williams. What you're currently seeing with that Chicago offense with Shane Waldron, you could see the imprints everywhere. And then Jaden Daniels creating that grit. From what we've seen in LSU, where he's taken a lot of big-time hits from SEC players, Dan Quinn is really going to toughen him up. And I think that the Commanders, they're going to surprise some people. But Bo Nix, having a great, smart coach in Sean Payton, and with an offense that is going to really run through very, very well, especially with those RPOs. I mean, I saw, especially when you saw that toss with as quick as it was, that's the experience. That's the decision-making. And it's all those things coming together. And I think that's why Sean Payton loves this. So I think Bo Nix, he's my sleeper quarterback this upcoming season with a lot of these rookies. But it'll be interesting to see how this all breaks down. I definitely wanted to get into this because I thought this was an interesting topic really to talk about, because the Philadelphia Eagles, this season is important to them. And so according to a reporter in a couple days ago, and I hadn't gotten a chance to really kind of, share my insights, but apparently reports in Eagles camp that head coach Nick Sirianni and quarterback Jalen Hurts, the relationship last year was claimed fractured. So here's my breakdown with the Eagles. This is a mulligan season for them. We know that without a doubt. I mean, once Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon left the building, not the same team. Not the same coordinating production. So you then bring in Brian Johnson and Sean Desai, and it looked like a complete sideshow. They were 10-1 before the colossal collapse. before they lost 5 of the last 6. And the thing about with the Eagles, I mean, they had to change defensive minds. They then brought in Matt Patricia, and it still was not getting any better. Nick Sirianni, of course, has a lot of the criticisms on his side right now. And that's where I think his seat is very much heating up. And Philadelphia is a very strong culture because they have moved off great coaches. Even a coach that's won a Super Bowl in Doug Peterson. Well, they moved off Andy Reid. They moved off Chip Kelly. They moved off Doug Peterson. Could that be a potentiality for Nick Sirianni to then get moved off of? Because as of what we heard, there was a part of it with Nick Sirianni that I was a little bit of afraid for because he definitely butchered that press conference in his first year when he got there. And I was not sure. I looked over. I'm like, is this guy serious? Like, I don't know exactly how the Eagles were going to manage to do that. But then you get Jalen Hurts in the second round, right behind Carson Wentz, and the rest now tells the tale. But Shane Steichen was clearly a rock star once he then got into Indianapolis. And then Jonathan Gannon going to Arizona. So this Eagles team, this is important for them. Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, now new coordinators. You cannot afford to screw this up. Because if this Eagles team basically plays the same as they were last year, Sirianni is fired. And it's unfortunate because you have a coach that it just seems to me like I don't think he's really that brilliant-minded, which is hard because usually you would think of this with the Eagles and with Sirianni. Unfortunately, I'm getting the opposite. I feel like this is a guy that he's like that kid in the classroom when you're given the project and then you're looking around at everybody when you're put together in a group and you're thinking, who's going to take the first initiative? Not Nick. Last year, the previous years, I mean, you had Shane Steichen, who was a great offensive coordinator, well-deserving of a head coaching job. The next closest thing to him is Ben Johnson in Detroit. And then you have Jonathan Gannon, who you saw his blueprint in Arizona. By the end of that year, the team got better, and the team started to play hard. So there is a part in it, and I think if Sirianni doesn't get this right, it's not going to look good. This is not going to look good. And I'm afraid that, I truthfully think that their move past, they moved past last season and now they're focusing on this year. But again, I'm not leaving that door closed. There's possibilities where anything can happen. This is why the league is called Not for Long. Anything can happen. I mean, this is a team that got to the Super Bowl with Nick Sirianni. This is a team that was basically blowing people out, dominating. And what's funny about this is because I almost kind of feel this way. And this might be an interesting comparison, but do you remember, and I watched this on Winning Times, you recall when the Lakers had Paul Westhead that came in, and there was a whole philosophy, and there was everything that he was trying to match up? Well, Jalen Hurts didn't even look like himself. And then A.J. Brown went a month without scoring. Defense looks like crap. Nobody could end. Like, James Bradbury's getting cooked. Everybody. It almost makes me feel like it's similar to like that Lakers team with Paul Westhead. And what you need is an alpha in the room. Guy that's going to basically come in, put everybody in their places, and really start to get this team going. Because Philadelphia is no joke. They've moved off of Super Bowl winning head coaches and even championship caliber coaches. So it's no surprise to them. This is what it is. And so if you are barely beating teams that you should be dominating in the NFC, you don't think that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are going to question that? Knowing that the expectation and the fan base that is out there screaming, hooting, and hollering, and I'm sure screaming out obscenities. I mean, this is Philadelphia. This is not LA. This is not like any other town. Certainly isn't like in Colorado. But even though Denver fans, they certainly have expressed how they felt about Russell Wilson. But it is not to this extent. Philadelphia will move off, and they will let you hear it if you underachieve. Hell, how do you think that worked for the Phillies? That's what Bryce Harper loves. He loves it when the fans end up booing because you know that there's a high expectation there. So Philadelphia is a very, very grand sports town because they'll move off of anybody. They don't care. They are about winning games, dominating, and getting to the point where they can win the Super Bowl. That's their standard. So Sirianni doesn't cut this out, and you have a mulligan opportunity with Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. You can't get this right. I'm sorry, but I may have to end up going to other options and other alternatives just to make this work. So kind of hard to think about. Because again, I at first I did have a soft spot for Nick Sirianni, but sometimes there's expectations involved as well. But again, I have full confidence that Philly will win this division. I have no doubt of that. But if I start seeing it otherwise, it's not going to make me feel good. So, and neither should it end up making any other Philly fans out there feel good either. So keep that in mind. Very much keep that in mind. All right, folks, that's going to do it here for me on the Snake Sports Talk Show. Appreciate everybody for joining in and hanging out with me. Shout out and salute to Frank the Tank Fleming for taking the time to join us and hang out with us. Talking some baseball, talking some football. Berto Antonetti joining us, talking the Dirty Birds that have made an awful lot of great moves and moves that I think are really going to impact the Atlanta Falcons this upcoming season. Love it. I'm trying to get all the NFL content in as much as I possibly can, and I'm all here for it. It's where football season begins, right? Show sponsored by BetUS and by SeatGeek. When you go into your next event, especially with NFL season around the corner, get the most affordable spot at the most affordable price where you can enjoy the moment. On SeatGeek.com, download it on your mobile device through Google Play in the App Store. Snake Sports is the promo code to use before checkout to get you $20 off as a gift in order for you to enjoy the NFL season this upcoming year. And by BetUS, $50 or more into your deposit, 125% match with up to $2K in winnings when you go into the contests that are posted up every single day. On BetUS.com, BetUS, where the game begins and where the NFL season begins. Snake Sports Talk Show. Jake Silva signing off. Appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with us, and we'll see you tomorrow. We got a great show up on Friday, so you don't want to miss it. Take care, you guys. We'll see you here tomorrow night on the next edition of the Snake Sports Talk Show.